Hello. Let's talk about something we all experience, emotions. When you're caught up in an emotion, whether it's the euphoria of love or the crushing weight of sadness, it's hard to imagine feeling any other way. Those intense moments, both good and bad, seem endless. When you're in love, it feels like you'll be on that high forever, doesn't it? But when heartbreak or sadness comes knocking, it's like trying to find your way out of a dark maze. The hardest part is believing you'll feel differently again. What if we could accelerate that healing process? We can't fast forward through all the steps, but we can certainly start by learning how to embrace those moments without letting them take over completely. Here's the first key to mastering your emotions. Understand that what you feel in a single moment is the truest form of that emotion. It's raw, unfiltered, and real. But what happens next is often the mind spinning stories around that initial feeling. Neuroscientists have studied this, and what they found might surprise you. The physical sensation of an emotion, the racing heart, the tight chest, the rush of adrenaline lasts for about 90 seconds. That's right. After that brief burst, the emotional intensity starts to fade. But here's the kicker. Why do we feel like we're stuck in that emotion for days, weeks, or even months afterward? It's because our minds start to spin narratives around it. And these stories? They keep the emotions alive long after their physical effects have faded. Think about it. An event triggers an emotion. Someone says something hurtful, or you lose something important, and your mind immediately starts weaving a story to make sense of that experience. Maybe you blame the other person, or maybe you even blame yourself. The ego jumps in, turning a momentary feeling into a saga, replaying it over and over. And the more you replay it, the more that emotion feels permanent. But here's the truth. Your brain isn't built to live in the past or predict the future. It's designed to exist in the present. That's why, when you're hit with a wave of emotion, it feels all-consuming. The present is all your brain knows, so in those tough moments, it's easy to fall into a spiral. You wonder if this is how you'll feel forever, if this pain, confusion, or even joy is your new reality. But that's just the spiral talking. In those times of emotional turbulence, you start to question everything, your choices, your future, your worth. It's natural, but it's also the worst time to dive deep into self-reflection. You see, during those intense emotional moments, you can't trust the version of yourself that's showing up. That person, the one wrapped in sadness or anger, is just a temporary creation of your mind, a product of old memories and past wounds. It's a defense mechanism trying to protect you, but it can't offer you the clarity or insight you need to grow. Instead, it often leads you deeper into blame, shame, and guilt. You start to ask, what's wrong with me? When you should be focusing on what's right with you. This is where the real work begins. When you're in the middle of that emotional storm, the goal isn't to figure out the why. It's not the time to dissect your actions or make life-altering decisions. That will only prolong the pain. Instead, your job in those moments is to give yourself grace. Step back, breathe, and remind yourself that this too shall pass. The poet and speaker, young Pueblo, once said something powerful. In difficult times, be conscious of your emotions, but don't let them control you. Feel your feelings, yes, but set boundaries. Don't let them steer your ship. You are the captain, and emotions are just the waves you ride. They come and go, but you remain. We're built to weather storms. Human resilience is remarkable, but we need to remember that during these stormy times, we can't trust our thoughts. We need to focus on one thing at a time. The time for self-reflection, for personal growth, comes when the storm has passed and the waters are calmer. For now, your job is to hold on, ride the waves, and know that these emotions are lingering because of the stories you're telling yourself. Those stories? They're just that, stories. Fictional narratives you've crafted around your emotions. And just like any story, they could be rewritten, edited, or even tossed out altogether. Be gentle with yourself, but also be firm. Remind yourself that emotions are temporary, even when they feel like they'll never end. You have the power to make it through this. You always have. Tough times won't last forever, and you've got all the tools you need to navigate through them. Stay the course, you're stronger than you think.